Hi guys, it's Megan Ritz with Classic Cakes here. When you're jumping on, please say hi. If you're watching the replay, tell me where you're from. Tell me if you're a home baker, if you're a professional baker, if you're an amateur baker. I'd love to know what your level of experience is and what you're looking for with these live videos. So today is Tutorial Tuesday, and we are going to go into my 7 steps to killer cupcakes. And of course, Terry Towner is the first one on here watching today. Hey Terry. So we are working on a really big project this week. We are working on our Riley project, which is we are doing 3,000 cupcakes for the staff of Riley Hospital as a donation to thank them. And this is only possible because of the amazing response that we have gotten from this challenge that we've given our customers and the public. And our vendors have pitched in to help cover the cost of ingredients. You guys have pitched in to help cover the cost of containers and labels and all of the random stuff that goes into it. And then we here are donating our staff. So 3,000 cupcakes. We started today. I will show you a really quick, we are not even halfway through baking them. And I have got cupcakes for my entire life. I can never eat that many cupcakes. So, what I'd love to show you, since we're in the middle of cupcake craziness, are my 7 steps to killer cupcakes. So we're gonna start from batter to icing and go through the steps that make cupcakes really amazing and how you can take your cupcakes to the next level. The cool thing about this is I'm not gonna share recipes. But the cool thing about this is you can take whatever recipe you're working with now, whatever cake you love, you can use these tips and tricks and make it even better. So let's dive right in. The first thing I wanted to ask you guys is how many cupcakes do you think is the most that we've done for one order in our 25 years of Classic Cakes before this project? I would love to know what everyone thinks our number is, and I have an estimate. I checked in with Eileen, the previous owner, to see if I was close, and we have an estimate here for the largest single order of cupcakes that we've done prior to this 3,000 cupcake order. So throw me your guesses and tag your friends to have them join. If you love cupcakes or cake or just baking, this is perfect for you guys today. So let's go over here. We are in the back part of the shop. Usually we're in the decorating area. This is the kitchen, the baking area. And so I've got right here behind me, I've got 4 industrial ovens. I turned the fan down so that it's a little bit quieter back here. But when all 4 of these are going, it's really loud. So hopefully it's quiet enough for you guys to hear me well. So we've got our ovens, we've got our floor mixers over there. We've got our tabletop mixers down at the end. And then we have all these stations here. So today I've been working in this bowl here. It makes 20 pounds of cake batter, and I've been just going through 20 pounds at a time. I prefer this size bowl. We do have a larger mixer that can do up to 50 pounds, but it's just a hoss and it's a lot of work and weight and a lot of bending. And when I decided that we were going to do 3,000 cupcakes, we thought we're going to bite this up into manageable pieces and work our way through it. So let's see. Katie says, hi Terry Towner. Everyone knows Terry now. Crystal, where is your shop? So our shop is in Carmel, Indiana. Where are you guys from? I love seeing where our viewers are from. We've been doing this for a few weeks now and have had quite a few people from all over the world, and it's really cool to see that. So I have my white batter here. Let's see how well you guys can see. So my step 1 out of 7 steps for killer cupcakes is batter. Number 1, batter. You gotta have a really yummy batter. Now it can be white, it can be black velvet, it can be carrot cake. It doesn't matter what the flavoring is, it needs to be really yummy. And so that might mean testing out recipes and playing until you find the one that works best for you. I will give you my little secrets for box mix to make it super easy for you guys at home. If you take a box mix, look at the instructions on what it says to add. Add an extra egg. So if it says 3, add 4 eggs. That'll help make it a little bit denser, a little bit richer. Instead of oil, use melted butter. Instead of water, use milk. Like anything that you can do to like add of fat, increase the amount of fat, is going to increase the flavor. So fat is actually what flavor binds to, and then we actually get to taste and appreciate the flavor a little bit more when there's more fat in there. So my number one is batter. So the other side to that is you want to make sure that you're not over mixing your batter. Anything with flour in it has gluten. Gluten is the protein in wheat. And what happens is when you're making bread, for example, or pizza dough, you are kneading that dough until you get that gluten to develop. And that gluten develops like long strains of fiber, basically. Think like a spider web netting kind of thing. And that expands throughout the products to hold in air. So like when you have a really airy, delicious bread, it's got a really well-developed gluten. And then it makes it stretchy. So for pizza dough, we want really stretchy. For biscuits, you want to not have it be stretchy, you want flaky. So the difference in the way that you treat that and develop that gluten is the amount of time you spend working it to develop those strands, that webbing. So with cake, we don't want webbing. So in order to avoid that, you mix it just until it's done. If you forget about it, or if you leave it too long on the mixer, it will start to turn very bread or biscuit-like and get crumbly when you bake it. And also it will taste drier because of that. So don't overmix your batter. This is our beautiful white cake mix here, or cake batter here. And what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna make a dozen cupcakes, and we're gonna walk you through each step and how we make cake amazing here. I'm sorry, yes, we are closed this week. We closed to give our staff a break, a very much needed break, this week to gear up before Mother's Day. They've been working very hard throughout this entire time, and we're a very small crew right now especially, and so we decided that we needed to give them a break and close so they could take care of their mental health and their families. And so we were able to do that for them, and then we will be back next week in time for Mother's Day to do an amazing amount of cupcakes and cakes for Mother's Day. And we are actually partnering with Rusted Window. So if you guys go to rustedwindow.com, they're an amazing florist here in Carmel. You can purchase a bouquet of flowers and cupcakes to be delivered for Mother's Day. So very cool deal with that. So I've got my 12 pan, and we're just gonna go ahead and fill these real quick. We only use white liners, paper liners. The only thing you want to keep in mind if you use colored ones are the color of the cake batter is going to affect the color that they come out, so don't promise something if you don't know what it's going to look like. Alright, so I am going to show you guys how my step number 2 is filling the pan with your batter, and the secret to that is one of these guys. They call them ice cream scoops or kitchen scoops, and I like the ones with the little handle. It makes it super easy. It makes it super consistent, so all 3,000 of our cupcakes will look the same and bake at the same time. And all you have to do for this is, I like to get this guy out of my way. Let's see if I can show you guys. Try to do it at an angle so you guys can see me here. Terry, thanks for sharing the link. rustedwindow.com, amazing. Hello from Scotland. I'm Scottish, that's awesome. I love it. Okay, so a scoop, and then you wipe it on the side, and you want it to be just filled. That is it. A scoop, and then I wipe it on the side. If I wipe it on the side like that, then that holds that drip back, so I don't have to worry about the cake mix making a huge mess everywhere. So you guys see how much faster this is? I remember when I was younger, we would use 2 spoons to fill these, and you'd be eyeballing to make sure they were all the same, and it was a nightmare. And then I got older and I was like, oh, I know. I'll use a measuring cup and a really tiny rubber scraper to make sure that everyone is exactly the same. And that one needs a tiny bit more. I didn't get that scoop well. So, super fast, super easy. I'll stick the rest of that knob in a minute. So, then you have perfect, exactly even, a little tap Helps bring any excess air bubbles to the top so you don't have weird pockets. And then that's really all. That's all that takes to make it consistent, and that will help your bake as well as the visual of everybody looking the same. So we're just gonna stick these guys in the oven over here. We'll keep an eye on those. Hopefully I don't forget about them. Number 3 for the 7 steps to killer cupcakes is the bake. So the important thing here is you want to bake until they're just done. I've got my magic, oh look, they already were baked. Oh look, they just came out of the oven, so perfect. I pulled a few out here. So I just wanted to show you guys the difference here. These are both done and they're both fine. If you look at the bottoms, the lighter one actually has the darker bottom. So all ovens are going to be a little bit different in the way that they hold their heat. The amount of brown doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. What you want to look for is the spring back. So I don't use toothpicks when I bake, I just touch them. So gloves. And then you just want to touch, and especially when they're warm, they're pretty soft, but you want to just see that little spring back. If you touch it and it leaves an indent where your finger touched it, it is not ready. If it's jiggling in the pan, it is not ready. When we bake 4 ovens worth of cakes, I do not have timers set. I'm just constantly going through the ovens and checking them and keeping an eye on whoever's closest to being ready. Are cupcake liners essential for killer cupcakes? I hate washing pans, so yes. You do not have to use cupcake liners. They have silicone liners if you want reusable ones. Honestly, they're just simple. It's easy this way, so I prefer that. And that way you don't have to ever worry about them sticking to your pan. Awesome. So, you want to get comfortable trusting the feel. Now a toothpick works perfectly fine. You can totally use a toothpick to check. The only time you want to be careful with that is if you're doing a cake that has more of a crust. So like our gluten-free is a little bit more of a crust when it comes out of the oven. And so we have to be careful that when you stick the toothpick in and you pull it back out, that crust isn't cleaning the toothpick off and making you think it's ready, but it's actually not. So you can stick it in and then wiggle it around to break open that crust a little bit and pull it out and check. And basically if the toothpick comes out clean and they're done. Now that doesn't mean they're not overdone. So be careful with that and keep a close eye on it. The other thing is we have convection ovens here and they're industrial. So we bake at a much lower temperature because it's actually a higher temperature. So if you have a convection oven with a fan, you want to drop that temperature down. We bake at about 275. When I bake at home with my standard oven, I bake at about 310. So if you think about baking and all the recipes that you have that say bake at 350, everything doesn't bake at magically 350. It's just a convenient temperature that people are comfortable with, so they always say that. What you want is you want it to be a high enough temperature so that it holds its structure, right, so that it doesn't deflate. But you want it to be a low enough temperature so that it bakes evenly through and gets nice browning without being too brown. The risk of over baking is that you end up drying out your cupcake or burning the bottom. Diane, yes, if you have not tried it, bake at 310, give it a try, let me know how you like it. For all of the recipes that I've done with cake and cupcakes, I love it. It's perfect. Let's see what other questions we have. Do you ever have any problems with the paper coming away from the cupcake? Yes. If they are really moist, so after we simple syrup them a lot of times, we'll worry about that. So as long as it holds its shape nicely, it's not a problem. If it really comes off, then I just eat those. Terry, did you grease liners? No. So, other benefit. Hey Jason, thanks for joining us. Other benefit to this is there's no greasing step and no cleaning of a grease pan. And if the pan's clean like this, you can reuse this pan a few times if you're baking a big batch. You don't have to wash it in between every single one. But I would definitely wash it in between, like if you're baking today and tomorrow. Okay, cool. So, let me run away here. So, I've got my stuff to decorate. So, bake. As these guys come out of the oven, we will take a look at them and I'll show you how to check them. The next step is simple syrup. So number 4 in the 7 steps to killer cupcakes, simple syrup. This is something that has totally changed my cakes when I learned here that they did that. And I think the cool thing about that is it's a really easy way to add extra moisture to your cake or your cupcakes and have them be extra amazing, killer, without having to add a bunch of work or change up your recipe. It's a very easy thing to do. So a simple syrup is half water, half sugar. Stick it in the microwave for a few minutes until it starts to bubble and that sugar can dissolve. And then you can just take a pastry brush and brush that over your cupcakes or your cake. And it will add an amazing depth of moisture and have that just be, it takes that crust away so it's not dry in the first bite, which is extra special. So number 4 is simple syrup, moist. You want moist cupcakes. You don't want dry cupcakes. It's not a brand muffin, it's cupcake. All right, what's the difference between a cupcake pan and a muffin pan? Faye, as far as I know, absolutely nothing. And simple syrup is good in a mojito. Yes, Terry, you would know that, wouldn't you? Your interview setup with the bunny slippers was cracking me up, so I love that. Okay, so simple syrup is number 4. Number 5, cool with foil. Okay guys, so we have, here you can see, we have back, can I point? That guy behind all these racks is one walk-in cooler and this guy here is another walk-in cooler. That first one over there is high moisture. So what that means is it actually adds moisture into the cake and the cupcakes when they sit in there. This is the number 1 reason, besides our own sanity, that we like to bake things at the beginning of the week and have them go out at the end of the week. If they sit in there for a few days, they get extra moist. That crust that's on the cake or the cupcakes gets soft, so the entire cake is soft all the way through. And that's just one of our things. You take the simple syrup and you put it on your cake and your cupcakes, you put it in the high moisture cooler, and then you get that super moist cake without it ever being soggy. Those are more cupcakes for Riley going in the cooler. So you can fake that at home. You don't have to buy a high moisture walk-in in order to do that. All you have to do is take your cupcakes or your cake, brush them with simple syrup. As soon as they're out of the oven, sizzling hot, put a piece of aluminum foil over top and stick it in your cooler or in your refrigerator. What's going to happen is those cupcakes are going to steam and that moisture is going to go back into the cake instead of leaving it and drying them out. So those 2 things, if you do nothing else, will totally change your cakes at home. So number 5 is cool with foil. Steam those cupcakes as they cool so they don't lose any moisture. All right, let's see. So for Riley, one of the biggest challenges that we've had is they are requiring that everything is individually packaged. Not something we usually do. We have a minimum of 6 cupcakes when you place an order. So we didn't even have individual cupcake containers. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, look at that. 12. So we didn't even have the containers. So we had to go out and thankfully we have an amazing rep who was able to track down 3,000 individual cupcake containers for us. But it takes a lot of time to individually package, even just popping labels on them and closing all of the individual packages just takes a lot more time. So that's totally fine. They're doing that as a safety precaution to make sure that their staff is following the strictest safety precautions, and I think that's amazing. Let's see, Columbus, Indiana, I love it. Crusty cupcakes on top, totally awesome. Simple syrup and foil when they're still hot, and that will totally take away that crust. Sheila, yes, keep the foil on them when you put them in the refrigerator until they're completely cooled through, and then you can take that off. Okay, so I've got, let's slide these closer. Can't see where you guys are. Alright, so I've got a dozen cupcakes here. And I've got this bag. How are my cupcakes doing? Okay, so they're about halfway. We can take a look at them in here. You can see that they're, ooh, maybe you can see. You can see that they're holding their shape, but they have no color on them at all. So this would be a really good time to turn them around. You can see they're very pale. They're very fragile as well. So this is the time where you don't want to bang them around. You don't want to close the oven too aggressively because that will, if you knock them around, it's kind of like a souffle, right? If you knock them around, then you can, that structure is very soft and you can deflate them. So you just want to be gentle with them. Diane, so cool in the fridge, not the counter. That's what I do. I totally recommend it. One, they'll cool faster, and two, you'll get that nice steaming effect from the foil and the simple syrup. So give it a try with your next batch and let me know how you like it. All right, so we've got cupcakes here. We're gonna go ahead and ice these guys. I've got a bag of buttercream. You gotta love buttercream. And I've got a beautiful cupcake tip here. This is my favorite one. It is a certain number, I'm sure. I don't know what number, I'll have to share that. Okay, so secrets to icing cupcakes. You don't hold the bag up here. It's unnecessary. If you have a very runny or soft icing, put a rubber band up here. Otherwise with buttercream, I don't have to worry about it at all. It's not coming out. So I'm going to hold it at the bottom, pinch it off with my thumb and my first finger and twist. And then I don't have to worry about the pressure that it requires for my hand to push all of this through, just this amount. So your arm won't get as tired, you'll have more control. It's a lot easier to work with that way. All right, so cupcakes here. So step number 6 to my 7 steps to killer cupcakes. Oh, I keep moving this thing. There we are, I found you guys. Number 6, icing. You want your icing to do several different things. You want your icing to, 1, taste amazing. It needs to taste amazing on its own, and it needs to taste amazing with the cake flavor that you've chosen. So pairing those flavors is really important. Vanilla goes good with just about everything, so it's a really safe option. But you can do things like chocolate and peanut butter, or lemon and raspberry, or honey and lemon, or you can play. You just need to make sure that the flavors go good together and separate, because people are going to take bites of some and of one or the other and of both. Let's see. Can you add whipped cream to your buttercream? You can make a whipped cream. It needs to be very stiff. And you can make a buttercream and you can fold them together. But it doesn't work the way that most people expect it to work. So you can go ahead and try that and let me know how you feel. I feel like what ends up happening is that whipped cream gets deflated because of the weight of the buttercream, and then you just end up with a crusting buttercream because of all that added moisture, that added liquids. Why do my cupcake pans become rusty after some time? There's iron in the metal, most likely. So yes, it happens. A lot of staining happens when they bake. Every once in a while we take, what's it called? Like a Brillo pad, stainless steel, and is that what it's called? Wire scrubber thingy, and hot soapy water, and just scrub it, and then you can break a lot of that down. But honestly, it's not going to hurt anything for it to look like that. Icing, Lori, yes, icing. Okay, so you want your icing to be delicious on its own with the cake. It needs to be delicious. And then, let me just say, in my opinion, the cupcake needs to be iced in a way that I can actually eat it. So to me, I can fit my mouth around that. Now, a lot of bakeries or people prefer the more dramatic amount of icing. So, SOS pad, yes, thank you. SOS, I need help. So it's just a matter of your opinion and what you like. But to me, this is really difficult to eat, and I don't want people to eat my food and think it's difficult. So I'm just gonna plop that off. Maybe. And then we can, so if you're icing cupcakes and you have a mistake, You can do what I just did, and you can just pull that icing right off, and you can re-ice it. So I put mine in my cupcake containers first, and then I like to ice them. And I want to be straight up and down with my tip and just go around a couple of times. And I want my icing to go clear to the edge. I don't want it to be in the middle of the cupcake either, because like I said, I want every bite to get that delicious icing. When I was in culinary school, one thing that the chefs taught us was to think about what would fit on a fork. So if I'm cutting my asparagus and my potatoes and my steak or whatever it is into huge pieces and plating it that way, they're going to get one thing at a time on their fork. If I'm cutting things into little pieces, then they're going to get multiple things on their fork. So how do you want people to eat the food? Do you want them to eat the cupcake with a fork and a knife? Do you want them to eat all the icing off the top because it's so massive, and then the cake? So it's just a matter of what you want them to eat. Alright, so we've got cupcakes iced, delicious. The other thing about icing cupcakes, so step number 6, we want the buttercream to taste amazing. We want the amount to be enjoyable to eat. And we want it to look amazing. So for the Riley cupcakes, we are doing a sprinkle blend that we just made up with lots of beautiful sprinkles. Something fun and happy and playful. And so we are just icing and then putting sprinkles on them. A little bit of that is because time is scary when the number of cupcakes is 3,000. I like to just hold my sprinkles up high and let them naturally fall on my cupcakes. You can hold them very close and very delicately place them where you want them. You can place them one at a time and decide where they go. To me, sprinkles are meant to be fun and wild, and I can go back in and fill it in if I want more of something so that they're even. You can just have fun. Sprinkles are supposed to be fun. Okay, so that is step number 7, decorate it. So today it is sprinkles. It may be flowers, it may be a chunk of cookie, it may be nothing at all. It is totally up to you. So my 7 steps, and then we'll pull these guys out of the oven. I didn't forget about them, they're still good. We'll pull these guys out of the oven, and I'll show you guys how to see if they're done and how to tell when they are done. So my 7 steps to killer cupcakes. 1, the batter. Don't overmix it. Make sure it tastes delicious. Number 2, filling your cupcakes. Use a scoop. Make it consistent. They'll bake better, they'll look better. Let's see. Number 3, bake until they're just done. If you overbake them, every moment that they're overbaked, you're just drying out your cupcake. You're no longer baking them, you're just drying them out. Let's see. Number 4, simple syrup. You just take that half water, half sugar, and you brush it over your cake or your cupcakes while they're hot, straight out of the oven. And then immediately go to number 5 and cool with foil. Put foil over that bad boy so that it steams. And you can stick it right in the refrigerator. Number 6 is ice them. Make sure that that icing, hey Kim, let's see, comments. I am not left-handed, Rebecca. It's the front-facing camera, so it's weird. Ooh, Terry, very good question. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Number 6, ice your buttercream, your icing, whatever you're using. It needs to 1, be delicious with the cake, and 2, be delicious on its own, because people are gonna eat it both ways. So if you have a really sickeningly sweet buttercream, make sure that's the way you want it to be. Let's see, the amount of buttercream, the amount that you ice your cupcake matters. How do you want them to eat it? I want it to be enjoyable and easy to eat, so we do a small amount of buttercream. It just depends what you want, what works for you, what your style is. And then the next part of that one is the look. They need to look beautiful and appetizing. Colors matter, design matters. Number 7, decorating it. So we did sprinkles here today. Like I said, options are endless. Play, chocolate, You can do chunk of cookie. You can do nothing on them. It doesn't matter. Rebecca Green, I've been quarantined too long. Terry asks a really good question. What is the ultimate error? And let me show you. So here's our cupcakes straight out of the oven, nice and hot. You want to see, where are you? You want to see that spring. See how you can see the indent from my fingers just a little bit? That's fine. If it was moist, if that stayed and didn't spring back up, then they would not be ready. So this is perfectly done. And you can see that there is different amount of browning on all these cupcakes. That's fine. Everyone's oven is a little bit different. Some ovens, let me turn this off. Some ovens are gonna be, have hot spots or cold spots. So it's just a matter of what your oven is gonna do. But the look of the browning is just a visually appealing thing. It does not mean that your cupcake is done. The browning happens when you have more sugar in there. They're gonna brown earlier. So when I do a apple spice cupcake, one of my favorites ever, and I do white, the browning is gonna be very different. The white cupcake is not gonna brown nearly as much. The apple spice has a lot of brown sugar in it, so it's gonna brown very quickly. So that is not enough to tell you that they're done. Simple sugar, yes. Simple syrup is a combination of half water, half sugar, and then you will stick it in the microwave and stir it until that sugar dissolves, and then you can brush that over your cake, over your cupcakes. You can use the extra for making mixed drinks, and it will save for a couple of days. If you stick it in the fridge, it will last longer, but you want to watch that because it does get mold on it very quickly if it's just sitting out. When do I take it out of the fridge and ice? As soon as it's cool, you can play with it again, Kim. You want to be really careful about getting excited and icing them before they've fully cooled, because what will happen in the refrigerator, let me see how long I can hold a hot cupcake. In the refrigerator, the outside will get cool first, and then the inside will stay warm, and so you'll feel it and you'll be like, oh, it's cold, and then you'll start to ice it and it will start to warm back up. So just be really careful about that. As soon as it's cold or room temperature even, you can ice it. You just want to make sure that it's not hot, because that will start to actually melt your icing as it sits on there, and then you'll have a really big mess on your hand. Let's see. Does anyone have any more questions for me? I love this. I love getting to talk about baking, and we talked about gluten webs. That's so fun for me. And I love that we get to do stuff like this, so thank you for watching. I did ask a question at the beginning. How many is the most cupcakes you think that we have done in one order? Everybody throw me your guesses real quick, so I can tell you the answer, because this week we're doing 3,000 cupcakes to donate to Riley Children's Hospital staff. That is thanks to you guys. One, your encouragement that has been amazing, and being able to do stuff like this. And people have donated, companies have donated. We are continuing with our donation program, so you can go on our website, classiccakescarmel.com, and you can make a donation of any amount. 100% of that donation goes towards the supplies and the cost of creating the cakes, and then we donate those to people working on the front line. So before this week, we've donated 300 cupcakes and 30 cakes in the last few weeks, and now we're doing 3,000. So we're definitely increasing that number. We're super excited. And I just have to say, on a personal note, I don't know if that's important to you guys or not, but it is to me. On a personal note, to be a business owner like all of us, who is struggling and scared for the business and her team and the community and my family, to be able to focus on what we can do, to be able to donate 3,000 cupcakes when we're unsure about being able to, what next week is going to look like, is amazing. So thank you for giving me something to focus on, to keep pushing forward, that's outside of myself. To be able to focus on donating and giving back during this time has been amazing and rewarding, and I just love that we get to do this. So thank you so much for allowing us to do that, and I hope we get to continue to do that. All right, so the number of cupcakes that we did for our biggest order in the last 25 years of Classic Cakes was 500. So the most cupcakes we've done at one time was 500, and now we are doing 3,000. So it's crazy, it's amazing, we're super excited. I'm really anxious to find out how they're gonna fit in our delivery van and if we're gonna need to take 2 vehicles. Because not only is it 3,000 cupcakes, but it's 3,000 individually packaged cupcakes, which takes up quite a lot of space. So thank you so much. I love this. I love that I get to talk to you guys. Here, let's just look at some cupcakes. I love that we get to focus on the community and how we can give back. So thank you so much. Any questions that you have, please go ahead and comment. I will go ahead and answer those when I see them. And I'm so grateful for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Every Tuesday I will be on here for Tutorial Tuesdays. And if you have any ideas on what you want to see next week, please go ahead and comment. I have no idea what we're going to do next week yet. So thank you so much. This is Megan Ritz with Classic Cakes. And jump onto our website, classiccakescarmel.com, and tell me what you think.